Oh! I thought somebody was behind me. Oh, make me nervous. So yeah, I probably need to trim it up some point before Christmas. So, well, we can get started. I don't know that there's much for an opening statement other than we're a healthy football team, and practice has been going very well. We're excited about playing a game. The offense and defense has gone against themselves so much that I think they're ready to play a game. So we're looking forward to it. We still need the next 4 or 5 practices to get ready. We've got a number of young players that we expect to play. Those are the guys that we've shared with you over the last couple weeks. And we're not 100%, but we feel pretty good that we'll have 6 freshmen that'll play for us in the first game, or should play for us early in the season. And we're just continuing to move forward. We've got heavy days the next few days, and we'll be light on Sunday and take Monday off, and then we'll be in a game week.
Who are the 6 freshmen, I guess?
Well, the guys I've given you. I hope I don't forget any names. We've got on defense, we've got Bundage could play in a game. We've got A.J. Green that could play in a game. We have Stoner that could play in a game. Obi could play in a game. Should be one more. 27 could play in a game. Not 100%, but they could. So.
You've had freshman running backs before, Mike. Really 3, Hunter, Toaston, and Randall, who were so good in camp they just kind of commanded playing time. Has Hill had that kind of preseason for you?
Oh, I'd be careful to compare him to those guys. All those guys played in the NFL or still playing in the NFL. So he's done very well in camp, and we're trying to make some adjustments in the running game. And we think that the group that we have now, the 3 or 4, is better than what we were using last year with really 2 to 3. And so he's part of that group that we think makes us better.
I don't think you hit the panic button, but it's a little disturbing when one of your senior, bigger receiver, playmaker receivers goes down before you even start camp. As you look at that now, you mentioned a lot of freshmen involved at that position. You feel pretty good about the way that's come along during camp?
Well, I don't know that we ever feel good about losing a player of the caliber that Aitman should be for our team. But that's one of those areas we talk about, control what we can control, and certainly can't do anything about it, and we move the next guy in. We'll know a lot more in a month at that position. We use a lot of receivers in a game, and wear and tear on their bodies is always a factor. That's as much a concern for us as anything when it comes to losing a quality player with the experience he has. But we have other guys, and our coaches need to use the strength of the players we have to make up for the area where we lost his experience.
Coach, we're looking at the running backs, and you got 4 solid ones, but not seeing Jeff Carr on there. What's his status?
Should be. I mean, he's in the mix. But those guys, those 5 guys with Carr will be guys that will play in the game.
Jeff Carr as well. It looks like you got Barry J returning kicks and punts for you. Has he proved through fall camp that he's reliable enough to catch the balls and also be able to make moves downfield once he gets them?
So far, he's done really well. We'll have a group that'll return punts and kicks. We feel like we have more depth there than we did last year. So we're going to use a few different guys early in the season and try to find out who works best for our team.
You've always preferred to use several backs, but to have 5 guys and have 4 oars between them is a little unusual. Do you want to see that position shake out and skinny up, Or could you foresee using 5 backs and having success during the course of the year?
I would say we would need to use fewer backs at certain positions. We have guys that can do different things for our offense. Some of them, a couple of them will be in 2-back sets, and a couple of them won't be in a 2-back set. So there's just more flexibility with them.
Coach,
Mike.
what, if anything, about your quarterback reminds you of yourself? He's going into his junior year. Your junior year was a big year for you. What, if anything, about him reminds you of yourself at this stage?
Completely different offense, different style. Really not a lot other than experience. He's into around game 15, and at that time you start to get a better feel for the game. It slows down, doesn't look like it's moving so fast. I would say that would be the best illustration for where I would compare him to really any quarterback that gets at that time in their career.
With more, sorry.
It's all right, go ahead.
With more returners as a whole, the game is kind of slowing down. Where is the next step of evolution for your team?
I didn't hear the first part.
Sorry, with more returners as a whole on the roster, the game is slowing down. So where's the next challenge going to lie for Oklahoma State?
Well, we have a bunch of challenges. We need to improve in gap responsibility and facing different styles of offense that we're going to see. For example, the first game, this offense will be completely different than what we see when we get into conference play. As we move through non-conference play, we'll see 3 different types of offenses, and then we get into what we see in this league. So the flexibility of the speed we have at linebackers and adjusting to the different offenses will be really important for our team. And then, as Robert mentioned, the adjustments that we can make at the wide receiver position to use Mason's strength, which is to throw the football.
You mentioned 3 different offenses. If they run, talking about Southeastern Louisiana, run what their offensive coordinator's been most experienced with, it's really a spread option, heavy option attack. How does that rank for an opener? I mean,
Well, anytime, option football is arguably the best style of offense there ever was, or ever is, has been, however you want to look at it. So is a challenge because our team hasn't seen any option in preseason. And the team we're going to play, in my opinion, is going to try to run the ball, and a variety of what they use is option. Then you get into some more of a different spread attack, and then you get into a downhill heavy attack. So it'll be different throughout the preseason.
Coach Gundy, that brings up the scout team and how good a job they do. And I'm sure they have a learning curve just like everybody else does. And who leads up that scout team, and does it change week to week, and how good are they right now?
They've been exceptional up to this point. We've had a number of walk-ons, like always. We're carrying 134 players on our team, and so our health has been good up to this point. So we use 2 scout teams for the most part on offense, and almost 2 scout teams on defense, which really pushes our first groups on both sides of the ball. And it's very important for our preparation each week.
Mike, with Taylor Cornelius listed as your backup, how comfortable are you with him should Mason go down and he's inserted in play?
Well, we're comfortable because he's a guy. We don't have a choice. He's done really well, but we all know that until they get out there and play, you don't know how a young man's going to react. He's been here. He understands the program. He's made plays. I feel like he understands the offense. But like most teams in the country, you're always concerned about if you lose a guy at that position. So the teaching, the coaching, the development up to this point, I'm comfortable with.
Is the hope right now to redshirt Woodtee and allow him to grow physically a little bit more before you're, putting him in that situation?
We're not sure. We're getting him quality work, and Kolar gets work, but Taylor gets most of the reps in case we were to need somebody. But we're trying to bring the other guys on. We're not sure what we would do with him at this point.
Like, how is moving Marcus Keys into the starting lineup on the offensive line. He's listed at left guard. How has that made the line better?
Oh, well, we feel like he gives us a little more athleticism at that point, I should say. He's immature, he hadn't played. That's the downfall. But we feel like in the long run that he gives us more than what we've had. And we could very well play 8 guys in the first game in the offensive line with 2 or 3 guys getting 20 to 30 snaps, unlike what we've been here in the past where 5 guys would get all 80 plays.
Back to 5 tailbacks, Mike. How can I've seen somebody use 4 tailbacks. I've never seen anybody use 5. Can we use 5 tailbacks?
Well, I think with what we're doing, we can. If there's 80 plays on offense, we're not going to split them equally. One guy may only get 5 plays in the game. One guy may get 3 plays in the game. We're a little different this season based on the strengths that each one of them bring to the table, trying to use them at that role in the game. I used the term a couple weeks ago. It's almost like what they do in the NBA. And there's guys that we have that are really good in certain plays we have and may not be so good in the others. So it makes it harder on Yurcich, but I think we're at a point where we have to use the players we have and build on their strengths to improve our running game, which should balance our offense and make us better in the long run.
Mike, I think I asked you at media day about Billy, and I know he was still kind of working in after the injury. Give me an update on sort of where he is, health-wise, strength-wise, all that sort of thing, rotationally within the.
He's full go.
Okay.
He's up and running.
Do you feel good about sort of having him in that mix?
Mhm.
On the defensive line?
Yeah, before he had the injury a year ago, we were projecting him as kind of as a starter, and we've working back slow. He's the first couple weeks of camp, we protected him, but he's been full speed for the last week. Should be a 50 play a game guy if all goes well.
You told me during media day that, as you might suspect, last year was really hard. Have you sort of sensed that energy and juice out of him in camp?
Yes, he's been better. Billy's one of those guys that doesn't talk a lot, so he's kind of gone about his business. Most of those guys that are faced with an injury for the first time in their career, it's really hard for them. But he's done well. He's 290. I don't know what they have down there on paper. Yeah, he's 290 the other day, so he's held his weight and his strength's really good at this point.
What's Chris Carr compared to last year? I mean, this time last year he was preseason newcomer of the year. Played a lot for you, but the running game wasn't very good because of offensive line issues and things like that. How's he gotten better as a junior college guy, second year in the program?
Most 2-year players that we bring in, on a scale of 1 to 10 in their first year, if they're doing okay, they're about a 4. And then based on their talent level, they can go from a 7 to an 8. It's such a different game. And I think he's made the transition from that level to this level, and that's helped him. He has a better feel for our offense. And if our offensive line improves like I think they will, that he'll have an opportunity to get in space more than what he was last year.
Any promising kickers arrived from campus after your invitation?
We've got a couple guys that are doing some kicking for us in practice, and we're at a competition that's going to end next Wednesday, and that way we'll know who's going to kick off.
If you had to say now, what's this team's greatest strength?
I'd say that our overall maturity at key positions should help us early in the season compared to where we were at last year.
Don't you think Mason Rudolph is your greatest strength?
Well, that's the maturity at the key position I was referring to. We all know there's really one key position in football at any level. You can go out this weekend and watch a Pee Wee game, and if their quarterback's a good player, he's going to make everybody miss and score, and they have a chance to win. Same thing in high school and college and in the NFL.
Mike, you got a hand handful of Louisiana guys on this roster. Your first opponent's a Louisiana team. You've been paying attention to the historic flooding down there and checking in on your guys and make sure their families are all right?
From a distance, I've kept up with it and looked at it and kind of read about it, and pretty amazing how people recover from something like that. But not that I've studied it a lot, but I've certainly kind of looked at it and read about it and then gone on. Everybody is affected by it, but I don't think anything what would be outside of the norm for as tragic as a flood can be in that situation.
You've been in the program for 25 years as a quarterback assistant head coach. And more than half of those games, you've opened a season on the road. Can you talk about how nice it is for you to open at home and then to have 3 in a row of those coming?
Well, we're excited about it. I'm as excited for the fans and the students about playing at home in September. And I think it's important to start the season that way. I think it's good for season ticket sales. The students generates a lot of interest. There's a lot going on during football season and then basketball season. For OSU, baseball went to the College World Series, so it kept us occupied. But as we know, there's kind of a lull sports-wise in this state once you finish basketball to a certain extent. the Thunder's kept us alive here and given us something to watch. But other than that, people are ready for college football. And having home games in September, I think, is important. So we're pushing for that in the future.
You remember Coach Miles complaining about that? I mean, every one of his openers away from home.
Sure.
It's crazy. I mean,
I'm with you. I heard it in there a lot worse than he gave it to you guys.
Like every time I drive over, I see the billboards promoting your flight service in and out of Stillwater. I take it that's going to help you guys out.
Sure. No, not only from a business standpoint, but from a recruiting standpoint. When you think about having those flights to get from Dallas here, and then the majority of the recruiting that we have in Central and South Texas, they can get from there to Dallas and in here in really less than 3.5 hours, 4 hours at the max. So it's really going to help us in a lot of ways. I know there's a lot of excitement. I think it was 4 or 5 days ago we had the first flight, and our community is excited about it. And I know it's a huge help for us to get people to locations that they need to be, and should really help us from a recruiting standpoint.
I remember Bill Snyder got a similar bounce like 6-7 years ago. I think he had the same issues in Manhattan, and I think that's when about the time when they started bringing some Eagles in and out of Manhattan. And he hoped, I think it made a difference. I don't know if it made this what he hoped, but I don't know if Joe Bob has referenced that.
Well, it should be a larger impact for us because we're closer, and people want to come up here and they see it differently from a recruiting standpoint, and it's just easy for them to get back and forth.
Did you guys have to drive to like Oklahoma City or Tulsa to pick those guys up?
Yes.
So that's
See,
windshield time.
years ago, Jenny, it was private planes. So you had private planes go pick them up and bring them in here. That's the answer. They've eliminated that. So we would have to go pick them up. And now recruiting has changed where more parents are coming on official visits than ever before. And so they can jump on a plane and be here just like that. And they're 10 minutes to be on our campus. That's why it's such a huge impact for our program.
Coach, you started out last season unranked, climbed all the way up to number 4. This season, you're 19th or 21st in the polls. Do you like where you are as a good starting spot in terms of maybe making a move?
Well, being ranked is good in a national perspective. When they slide it along the bottom of the screen, you're getting free marketing for the university, for your team. When the polls go up and on televisions and, millions of viewers see it. But in the end, same thing I would say last year, you still have to play the games, and that all is going to take care of itself as the season progresses. But I think that to be ranked early, you get a lot of advertisement marketing for the development of your program that you wouldn't get otherwise.
You talked about the maturity level of your football team, and I've heard you speak before about teams that don't have distractions give themselves the best chance of success. Now that you're about a week away from playing, how would you grade this group on avoiding distractions?
We've been really good. We've had a couple of small ones, but you know, the environment that we're in now, there's just certain things that really disrupt or derail an organization, and for the most part, our guys have done a really good job of avoiding those situations, and have rallied together. So I'm proud of what they've done since, you know, really the bowl game, because that's really where it starts up until we get ready to play the first game. Most of the time when we have them here, we're able to corral them pretty good. About 80% of the issues that happen are when they're on their own or they're not here in Stillwater. When they go back home or they're off and they're in a different world than when they're in our environment.
Mike, you're a few weeks away from it, but you guys are striping the stadium or encouraging fans to for the pit game. You in favor of that, just to kind of boost the in-game atmosphere a little bit?
Yeah, I'm in favor of striping the stadium. I'm in favor of using pom-poms. I think that that's part of college football that builds your fan base. It excites the students, and that's part of big-time game day on big-time college football on certain campuses. And I think we're making some strides. But to me, when I go home on Saturday nights and I'm watching games and I see that, it gets my attention. And when I see the 60, 70, 80,000 people screaming and they're shaking the pom-poms the same color, to me that's impressive. So I think that's the direction that we need to go here at Oklahoma State.
Everybody always wants to talk about conference realignment. How much do you hear about that from the recruits? Are they interested, or they don't want to bring it up?
Never hear about it.
What do you think that is?
I don't think it has anything to do with how it affects them tomorrow. And the millennial, the ones you're talking about we're recruiting, they only want to know what affects them tomorrow. And they see it as something that's down the line, and they want instant gratification. They want information right away, which they get from their phones, and I don't think that's something that intrigues them, because nobody really has an answer for what's going to happen. So I think in their opinion, they could care less at this time.
If you were playing Southeast Louisiana, maybe week 3 or something, the name maybe doesn't grab a guy, but does it not even, are you guys going to be more pumped up just because it's the first game? And so it doesn't really matter if it's Southeast Louisiana or whatever. Is that a benefit, getting the first game of the season?
You talking about playing Southeast Louisiana first game? I'm not really following you.
Well, if you were playing like week 3, maybe they say, oh, Southeast Louisiana, you're not really juiced about it, but because it's your opener.
Well, I think that everybody's excited about the opener. As a coach, I always worry more about an opener than I do any other game, because you just don't know at this point where you're at. There's a lot of excitement, and we're all in the same boat, but I would expect there to be a lot of energy on campus starting Friday and then Saturday, and should obviously spill over into the game.
First time in 35 years you've played 3 or all day games in the month of September.
I think it's good. I like college football being played during the day, during the daytime.
Even there's a chance it'll get pretty hot.
That's okay. Yeah. It's when we start at 6, it's still hot. Now the sun, at a certain point, the sun leaves the stadium, makes a difference, but I'm okay with it. Now, we have had some games in September where it was 95 and the turf was 140. That's not real favorable, but you have to deal with it.
Mike, I know Trey Flowers is a guy that's really tight with his family, and they had some struggles late last season. I know his dad's still going through some rehab stuff, but have you seen all of that impacting Trey, just his approach, his demeanor, anything like that along the way?
Yeah, we talked with him about that a few weeks ago. He's had to grow up really quick, You know, when you have a situation where you almost lose a family member, and I think he had his 17th or 19th surgery last week, with more to continue as they move forward. In dealing with that, it's not been easy. So I think it's helped him develop and grow up as a young man and mature some.
Do you see the evidence on the field? Is it off the field? Is it
Not so sure yet on the field. I think he's improving and because he's more experienced, but off the field, I think he sees things a little different now than what he did prior to that happening.
Since you don't have a Walsh-type guy to complement the run game, do you feel confident with all the components that you have to get a run game? Do you think you can get 150 to 170 yards a game out of your tailbacks?
Don't have any. I don't have any idea.
Do you think that's absolutely essential for
Well,
everyone?
here's the reason why it's hard to put numbers on it, because if they play run, then we have to throw it more, and if they play stop the pass, then obviously we have to run it more. So, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but I have in my mind what I feel like that we're capable of if everybody's healthy, and seeing the improvement in our offensive line. If they play what would be a balanced defense and mix it up, we need to rush for 125 yards a game. Now, that sounds minimal, but you have to look at where we were the last 2 years. 125 yards a game would have been like Christmas for us. So I think we need to just keep in mind, improvements in certain areas, and not all of a sudden, we're just going to be a team that's going to rush for 200 yards a game right now.
Do you feel more confident heading into those moments, though, maybe a 3rd and 1, those critical short yardage situations, goal line situations? Are you more confident now based on what you have in those situations?
Not really, because we had JW last year, and he was really good for us in those areas. We have a plan, and I like our plan, but I don't have the confidence I did last year because I haven't seen this lay out. I haven't seen it executed. I knew what we had with JW. So we could be better at it, but I'm not sure yet because I haven't seen it.
Mike, have you had to look close and hard to see the improvement in the O-line, or has it been pretty obvious?
Well, I look close and hard at it every day. It's really the only thing I coach and involved with. And I've seen improvement.
The biggest thing you want to see though in a game, how those guys perform, is that the one thing that you're probably most anxious to see?
How what
The
perform?
offensive line, how they perform.
Well, we have to do it all. You know that. I mean, we have to be able to throw. We have to be able to catch. We have to defend. We have to tackle. All those different things. We have to take care of the ball. But we need to make our greatest stride from last season to this season in covering guys up and running the football.
Mike, is this the best you felt about your defensive tackle depth in that group?
Yeah, by far. Really like those guys. We could play 6 guys in there in the first game and feel pretty good about it.
Can you imagine 7 or 8 years ago you had 6 tackles?
Be
Some of
good.
those years you had like 1.5.
Be a good thing. You're right. Yep.
You said you're most heavily involved with the O-line. Is that new?
Yes, I've usually a little more into watching the throwing game, but now I go down and watch those guys and just to get a perspective and really watch what's going on and then offer my opinion. I'm not down there coaching them, but I'm just watching it more because I think it's important that we make strides there, and not that it makes it any better, but at least I'm comfortable in what's happening, how we're doing it, and why we're doing it. Because I just think it's important that we make some strides at that position, and we should have a group that we can use, and I feel like we have the flexibility to play 3 guys other than the starters that may get 15, 20 plays a game, and we'll see how that goes.
Who's the 8th guy? I mean, I know you added Keys and Williams to the 5 guys you had. Who's the 8th?
Yeah, Victor Keys, Williams, Lundblade, Wilson, Jesse, Junior, and Crabtree. Yeah, that's Junior, number 66. I don't know if it's not his first name. So I just call him Junior.
What's the biggest key while those guys will be better? Is it experience? Is it gaining strength, technique?
Well, they're a year older, year stronger, year more experienced. Those are three very important areas in development of offensive line. Also, you guys are going to get information on email. We've developed, I think, the first head football coach app. There'll be a Coach Gundy app that you guys will get information on. You can download it and put it on your phones and get instant information on everything we're doing here.
Actually on iTunes and Google, Android, all that stuff right now on the App Store.
Yeah, it's already up and working.
By everything you're doing, what exactly do you do?
Videos, interviews, roster, photos, schedule, NFL players, camp information, pictures.
Will a mullet watch be on there?
What?
Will a mullet watch be on there?
Probably a mullet watch. But we've got it's out right now and it's up and running. CoachGundy.com. He's got a picture of it right there. And so you guys will get that information. And if you want to download it, it's only $50 for the app. I mean, what's the difference? Your kids say it's only 99 cents, and they do it like 80 times a month. So anyway, the Coach Gundy app is up and running. I think it's the first one in the country, we think. Now, I don't want us to overstep, but we think we're the first ones in the country to have. Check and see. I think we got him. So.
Injury updates on that app?
Yeah, injury updates on there by Tuesday. So, any other questions on the app? Good stuff. You need to download it. It's good information. All right, thanks, guys.
I got your season pass stuff before you leave.